Alright, so this is my Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4 review, and it was all about foundlings. And that was what this episode was called, The Foundling, because it revolved around Grogu and Paz Vizsla's son, which I didn't catch the name, Ragok or something like that. Anyway, so it starts off with everybody training. Bo-Katan is just watching everything going on. And Din Grogu is off by himself. And the way the camera shot that Bo-Katan was looking out in the distance, and then you see Grogu sitting by the shore, I thought that Bo-Katan was going to actually be the one to approach him. Probably because, she feels kind of, she is a Mandalorian, but she doesn't feel like she really fits in because, well, this isn't the kind of Mandalorian she feels that she is. So I thought she was going to bond with Grogu. But no, we just see him sitting there. And I really, really thought he was going to practice his force powers, his Jedi powers. I don't want to say Jedi because he's not a Jedi. He's a force user, but not a Jedi. But anyway, so he grabs a rock, which turns out is attached to a creature. Looks like a crab. And he's about to try to put it in his mouth, and I'm getting flashbacks to when he was eating his soup and this octopus creature attached to his face, and Din's just like, don't play with your food. I expected something like that to happen, but no, Din came to grab Grogu because he needs to start training. So he turns from a foundling to an apprentice. Okay. Grogu is about as thrilled at the idea of training to become a Mandalorian as he was to train to become a Jedi with Luke. So it's not so much that he didn't like the idea of the Jedi, it's more like he just wanted to be around Dad. But he's a baby, so he probably didn't think of the implications of what that meant. Like, training to become a Mandalorian, it's like, he already can use the Force. What does he need this training for? So he probably didn't even think that he needed training. So, they're going to start out small, quite literally and figuratively, with training darts. And he's going up against the latest Mandalorian, Paz Vizsla's son. And they question the fact that he doesn't talk. Because he's like, well, why isn't he wearing the armor? Oh, he can't say the creed yet. And he's like, well, then he shouldn't be training either. Which, they are trying, I think they were trying to pass him off as a bit of a jerk to Grogu, but he's not wrong. If he isn't able to speak the creed, then he shouldn't be training to be a Mandalorian because he can't wear the armor yet. So anyway, so they get three darts, and Bo-Katan is trying to smooth things over because you can see he's so not into this, and Bo-Katan reaches over to him and says, my dad was the same way. He's just really proud of you. And so then Din tells him quickly how to shoot darts. And Bo's like, wait, he doesn't know how to shoot darts? Because she probably figured that, oh, he's been training with his father and now he's training with someone else. And it never occurred to her that this was literally Grogu's first time using any weapon. So, besides the Force, of course, but any physical weapon. And so the kid gets 2 shots off, and then finally Din goes to him, and I'm so proud he actually called him Grogu, because normally he doesn't do that. So he just bends down, says, "Come on, Grogu, show him what you can do." And when he said that changed Grogu's whole mindset. He was suddenly happy at the thought that he doesn't just have to, you know, concentrate on using the darts. He is allowed to use the Force. Din gave him permission. So he's bouncing around and everybody's like, wait, what? What's going on? And then, of course, Grogu ends up winning because he shoots all 3 darts afterwards. And both the kid and Paz Vizsla are kind of miffed at this. But I'm sorry, did nobody tell them that he was a Force user? It's not like he cheated. Nobody said that you had to, just stand there and shoot darts at each other. So, just because you're not a Force user and you can't do what Grogu can do. So, he goes off, and then this turns into Land of the Lost, but with Mandalorians. So, for any of you who are old enough to remember that show, that's a show from the 70s, a children's show from the 70s, and I had serious flashbacks, especially later on. But anyway, so he's taken by this raptor, and I honestly thought that Grogu was going to be the one to save the day. That first Grogu bests him in their training simply because, well, he's a Force user and he really, really, really likes to jump and flip. He really likes to do that. So I honestly thought he was going to be the one to save the kid. Now, I thought it was going to be right then and there, not that they were going to fly after him. And they just ran out of jetpack fuel. So they had to go back and try to figure out how to rescue this kid. And Bo-Katan takes complete and utter control. Which, to be honest, surprised the heck out of me. Number 1, that she took control. And number 2, that people were totally cool with it. I mean, I know Din would be because Din is familiar with Bo-Katan. But I figured that the armor, and especially Paz, would be like, why are we taking orders from her? Why is she leading this? Because she knows what the hell she's doing, apparently. So they make a plan to save the foundling. And so as they're doing that, and so they fly off, and as they're doing that, we get the armor telling Grogu he's too small to go along. And I'm like, did you not see what he did at the training? What's this? He's too small. Let me see. He took care of that. He took down a Rancor. He took down what was that in the first season? It wasn't a Rancor. It was a Mudhorn, I think. So I'm sure that this has become known, at least to the armor, of nobody else. What is this? He's too little? Granted, he's snack food. He would make a good snack for these raptors, but Force user. I mean, okay. But so I thought this was going to turn into a episode focused on Grogu, that they were just getting them off screen, and then it would just be Grogu and the armor. So the armor takes Grogu to her forge, and she starts explaining about Mandalorians, and she starts crafting a new piece of armor for Grogu. So, okay. And as she's forging it, and as he's hearing all the pounding, he starts having flashbacks to Order 66 and being rescued. Now, we see who starts taking him away, and he gets killed. And then we see another Jedi take over and take him to a ship, only to be surrounded by more Imperials. And so the last we see is them flying off. Now, for those who don't know, the actor who played that Jedi was Ahmad Best, who also did Jar Jar Binks, which I know a lot of people are not fans of Jar Jar Binks. And actually, I saw somewhere someone, I think it was on Reddit, compare Grogu to Jar Jar Binks because it's childish. Let me see. A child being childish. What a concept. Anyway, so he was the Jedi. Now, I take it because this was Ahmad Best, and he's only known as Jar Jar Binks. I'm going to say that this is a new character, so we don't know his name or who he was in the Jedi Temple, in the Jedi Order. So anyway, that's where his flashback ends. And so, but every time she's pounding, he's just not happy to be privy to watching her work, because he's just, I want this noise to stop now. I'm actually surprised he didn't, like force her to stop. Because he was really not liking this at all. It was really disturbing to him. Which, if I survived a genocide, I would, yeah, I would probably be messed up about that as well. So, his flashback ends, and then we go to, well, I might as well finish him with the armor. So then she is explaining that she's creating another piece for him, for his armor, and it's the mark of his and Din's clan, which is the Mudhorn. And so she creates what looks like a medallion, which takes up like his entire chest, and puts it under his onesie, which I don't know if this is meant to be armor, like the chainmail, and now that. Shouldn't that go over the onesie? But anyway. So, he seems content. Not particularly happy, but he's like, okay, fine. And so yeah, I'm don't think he wants to be with Dad. He wants to be with Din, but I don't think he actually wants to be a Mandalorian. I think he's just, there because Dad is there. Don't get the sense that he actually wants to be a Mandalorian. I think that once he's able to, he's going to just do his own thing. Not be exactly a Mandalorian, but not be a Jedi either. Kind of maybe do what Ahsoka is doing, but at the same time, having that background of having a connection to both Jedi and Mandalorians. I don't know. But I don't get the feeling he's really into the becoming a Mandalorian thing. So, then we see, and this is where we get Land of the Lost in its full glory. Because this is the type of shit that happened in Land of the Lost a lot. So they first Bo-Katan comes up with a plan of how to come up to the raptor without it noticing them. And so they decide that they'll do it first thing in the morning, and I'm just like, you think this kid is going to be alive first thing in the morning? I mean, but anyway. So Bo asks Din, how do I eat with this helmet on? So he says, you just walk off somewhere to be alone so you can take off your helmet. And she's about to do that, but she's then told by Paz that she needs to sit her butt by the fire because she's the leader of the war party. But everybody's gone, so she can take off her helmet, so that's fine. But didn't she say in the second season, I think it was second season they met, didn't she say that she used to be part of the Death Watch? So how does she not know this? Unless her sect of Death Watch wasn't the same as this one? That confuses me because, okay. But, I guess she was supposed to play the role of the audience to find out how this works, I guess. So she starts to eat, and then the next day they get ready for rescuing the kid. And so they're climbing up this steep steep climb, and Paz seems to be struggling mightily. Bo and Din are just perfectly fine. I assume that Paz is quite a bit older than these two, so maybe that's why. And since his child is as a foundling, not biological, you don't have to get into the isn't he too old type thing. But so they climb up, and Bo-Katan notices that there's a nest up there. So they climb up, and Din finds a heat source. And Paz just goes off after it because he wants to save his son. Which is all well and good, but if you don't know what the heat source is, yes, it could be the kid, but it could be something else. And that something else turned out to be baby raptors. Because, yeah, of course mama is gonna want to feed her babies. Duh. So he almost gets attacked. He almost gets eaten. But what is hilarious is the mama starts coughing up something, and it's his son. So I don't know if it's because that's how she intended to feed her babies, or if she ate him herself, and because of the Beskar armor, he just didn't go down. I'm not sure. Either way, ew. So he gets coughed up, and then as he's trying to escape, he immediately gets grabbed by the mother, and so hence we begin the chase with all the Mandalorians versus the mama raptor holding the kid in her talons. And like I said, I was getting major Land of the Lost vibes on this whole episode. And it was directed by Carl Weathers. So I'm pretty sure that this was intentional, because he and Dave Filoni and actually Jon Favreau are all old enough to remember Land of the Lost. So I'm sure that was intentional, that comparison. And so they finally defeat the mama. Of course, it's Din who finally defeats the mama and is able to save the kid. So Paz thanks him for saving his son, and you can tell that he actually cares about the kid. It's not just, oh, he's my foundling, and, this is just to propagate the Mandalorian. No, he actually cares about the kid. And, like I said, I was kind of bummed that Grogu wasn't a part of this because, he's a Jedi. Let's face it. Even though there's a difference between Jedi and Force users, he's a Jedi. So they go back, and they end up going back, and Bo, the armor is saying, her praise to Bo-Katan, and then Bo's like, that's great that you love foundlings, because we have 3 more, and they brought the babies. So I'm so glad, because all Mama was doing was trying to keep her babies alive, feed her babies, and now you basically sentenced the babies to death. So I'm glad that they're cognizant of the fact that they just orphaned these 3 raptors and are going to try and help them. So I was happy to see that, even though it was comical in the way these huge raptors came out of her ship. It's like, how the hell did they get them in and get them out? Obviously they're using meat to lure them, but just the sheer size of these creatures. And so the armor notices that Bo-Katan lost one of her sleeves. So she takes Bo-Katan to make another sleeve. And she apparently kept the one with the night owls was there. And so Bo-Katan asked if she could have one with the mythosaur. So then she told the armor that she saw a mythosaur under the mines of Mandalore. And she just kept acting as if, oh no, it's just a vision and you're very lucky to have this vision, blah, blah, blah. She does not believe Bo-Katan, which, oh, that's gotta suck. She finally is willing to confide in someone what she saw, and they don't believe her. Now, I guess it's possible, considering it's the armor, that maybe, even though she's telling Bo-Katan that she doesn't believe her, that it was just a vision, a part of me wonders if that's not being put away in her back of her mind, that, oh, mythosaurs actually still exist, and is going to use that information later on. So it ends with her staring at the picture. Well, I shouldn't say a picture, but at the emblem of the mythosaur. So it was a very short episode, but now I understand why it was short, because I guess they could have gone into more Grogu flashbacks with him hearing more pounding, not just for his own armor, but for maybe other people's armor or whatever else there could have been that would cause him to have flashbacks of Order 66. I think that's all I have for this episode. Oh, and one more thing. I have a theory about the armor. Now, in the beginning of this season, Bo-Katan was alone because everybody left her because she didn't come back with the Darksaber. So I'm wondering if that isn't foreshadowing for what happens with the armor. Slowly people are going to start to question what the armor is telling them, and they're going to start abandoning her. Now, what that reason could be, I don't know. I doubt that they're all going to start to think, oh, I should be able to take off my helmet. There's going to be an impetus to cause this that the armor is going to deny. Whether it slowly starts getting out there that Bo-Katan saw an actual mythosaur and the armor just refuses to believe that that's the case, and everybody else is like, no, she showed us. Mythosaurs are real. Or what. But there is going to be a revolt against the armor. And I do believe that everybody's going to abandon her. Maybe Paz Vizsla won't. Maybe. Because he was the one who was left alone with her in the book of Boba Fett when Din found the armor again. So maybe he might stick with her through thick and thin. Or maybe she'll do something or say something really, really dumb to his son that he decides that he chooses his kid over the armor. Which I could totally see happening. Let's see if I had any other predictions. I believe that's all I have for now. So I will see you guys next time.